lead. And out is going the red flag. The race is being stopped. There's an official in front of me with a red flag. The Monaco Grand Prix is going to be stopped.
In 1987, 3 years later, the buzzwords were active suspension, and it was Ayrton Senna who gave it its first victory as he took his first Monaco win for Lotus. And it was at Monaco in 1988 where Senna made one of his rare mistakes, went off under pressure from Prost and lost the race. He was so distressed that he disappeared off to his apartment and hid himself there until hours after the race.
4 years later, and Senna was again under massive pressure as the 1992 Monaco Grand Prix reached its climax. This time, the man behind him was Nigel Mansell. And what a barnstorming finish it was.
Mansell behind him for 3 whole laps, and Mansell will never have been more determined to get past anybody. These two are the implacable rivals in Formula One, and you can see for yourselves what the situation is now as Mansell swarms around all over the McLaren into Casino Square again. There's 3 laps of this that Ayrton Senna has got to resist, and Nigel Mansell knows that the man ahead of him is the man that can deny him his 6th successive Grand Prix victory and his first Monaco Grand Prix win.
Senna blocking away and sliding a lot, Senna knocking it down and almost going to a dead stop there.
Mansell weaving this way and that way, but Senna won't let him past. He's got the racing line, he's going to keep it. This last lap coming up, of course, in terms of engine power, Mansell said they had yesterday, and Senna actually pulls away a little bit last lap. It's got to be a brilliantly courageous move by Nigel Mansell if he's going to win the Monaco Grand Prix for the first time, because Senna knows that he's got considerably less than half a lap between himself and his first victory of 1992. This is the swimming pool. It's only the left here, the right again, the left, and into the Rascasses, but it's too late, and Ayrton Senna wins at Monaco for the 5th time.
And a year later, Senna made it a record 6 wins at Monaco.
Now, the British drivers who made the running during those Senna years were Nigel Mansell and Damon Hill. But prior to that, the big British hero had been Ulsterman John Watson.
McLaren International had only been formed in 1981, but scored a major success when John gave British fans a longed-for victory at the British Grand Prix. Later that year, John survived this horrendous crash in his MP4 at the 1981 Italian Grand Prix.
That's John Watson, and a very nasty one indeed. Torn the whole of the back off the car, and that's a very, very bad one indeed.
But what I'll always remember John for is some storming wins from the back.
In 1982, John won at Detroit after starting 17th.
And Watson is right up with Lauda. John Watson, who got up from... He's driving an absolutely incredible race. He's going through the field like a hot knife through butter. He's up to 7th position behind his teammate Niki Lauda. So there is Pironi 2nd. Prost is in 3rd position. Chiva is 4th. And Lauda, there is Lauda in 5th position. Watson is 6th. And it's now a question of who has got the right tyres as much as anything else. Pironi on Michelin and Chiva. And the 2 Alfa Romeos were, but De Cesaris out of the race. And, of course, the McLarens are as well. Now, look at John Watson. John Watson is through. He's past Giacomelli now. So he's up to 5th position.
An amazing turnaround for McLarens in this race, because they really had a nightmare. It was Watson having a go at Lauda, and he's through. Watson just came out. Lauda obviously let him through there. That was a clear case of that. He probably feels that Watson, well, he can see that Watson's going very well indeed. He probably feels that he's had a long enough shot to doing something about it, so the least he can do is let his teammate have a crack at it. I suspect they may well be running different compounds of tyre. This has happened in the past in Belgium when John Watson won. Lauda was well ahead of him and then slowed down. McLaren's like to take a double punt on the tyres, and as a result of that, they're leading the Constructors' Championship. But they had a nightmare practice. They were both in double figures. Watson was 17th on the grid. But look at him now. He's really storming.
And he's really storming and taking Chiva through into third position. From 13th place goes John Watson, and by the way, behind this lot in 6th position is Jacques Lafitte in the second of the two Talbots. So Pironi, and now Watson's going through into second position. Unbelievable, but he's done it.
What an amazing burst of driving. He's done on one lap, overtaken 3 cars when everybody else has spent the whole race failing to overtake anybody. Absolutely marvellous stuff by Watson.
Absolutely. Keke Rosberg couldn't hold John off either. Watson went on to take a famous victory. Now, you might have thought that was a one-off, but John didn't, for if that was good, the following year we saw a truly titanic struggle at Long Beach, as John moved from 22nd on the grid to win, hotly pursued by Niki Lauda, who was 23rd at the start and finished second. It was unbelievable.
Jacques Lafitte in the lead from Riccardo Patrese. We look at the third and fourth men, and John Watson is coming up to take Niki Lauda. A spurt of smoke from his tyre there, and he's gone through with a beautiful passing manoeuvre, and that seems to show that there's certainly no team orders in the McLaren team. And John Watson now pulling away just a little from Niki Lauda in third position, is making his challenge for race leadership. Catching up with, and surely soon going to harry Jacques Lafitte even more than he's doing now, maybe to take the lead. Let's watch, he's right in the slipstream. This is where he could do it. Jacques Lafitte moves over, John Watson goes up alongside him, and we have a new leader.
Yes, marvellous piece of overtaking by John Watson, and very brave stuff, because Lafitte, we'll see a replay in a moment, Lafitte moved over on him, pushed him, and here we are. Yes, here's the replay. Now you see Lafitte is moving towards the centre of the road, and Watson stayed behind him, and then just as Lafitte thought that Watson wasn't going to come, he feinted to the right and dived through, and that really was a marvellous piece of overtaking, and certainly...
And look, it's Niki Lauda's gone through now. He's up into second position, so both the Marlboro McLarens have passed Lafitte, and it's a wonderful day for the McLaren team, for Ron Dennis, for John Barnard, for Crichton Brown, and all the rest of them. And there he comes into the last straight. John Watson has won the Long Beach Grand Prix of 1983.
But comeback wins weren't just for Watson. In 1988, Senna became champion by winning in Japan after starting 14th.
And this has given Prost an enormous advantage. Berger second, Capelli third, and it looks like Warwick up into fourth position of the arrows, and Senna has really got himself a problem now. And Ayrton Senna has got past the comparatively easy people that he was behind. Now he's got the tough nuts to crack, because Alboreto in the turbocharged Ferrari is in fourth position.
Button. Senna is getting close to him, and Senna is going to challenge for the lead. Ayrton Senna has got the lead.
Another champion to clinch the title with a great recovery drive was Nigel Mansell in Hungary.
Off goes Schumacher. Now that is going to help Nigel Mansell, because Schumacher was in third place. That means to say that Mansell is now in fifth position behind Mika Häkkinen.
Well, Mansell will do the Lotus now. Mansell goes past, Mika Häkkinen fights back, but Mansell has clearly got him. And Martin Brundle stands between Nigel Mansell and him winning the World Championship today. And he's perfectly placed. And Mansell goes back into World Championship winning order, as it were.
Now, is this where the Englishman is going through? Yes! Yes, he forces Gerhard Berger wide. But where is Nigel Mansell on the last lap for second place and 6 points? That's going to give him the World Championship. Here he is. He hasn't got far to go now, because when he comes out of this right-hander, dropping downhill, he will go into turn 10, the second gear, 60-mile-an-hour corner, and he's up to the last corner now. You are about to see Nigel Mansell become World Champion of 1992 as Brundle goes off. Brundle off, and Mansell finishes, and he's World Champion.
And Michael Schumacher makes our Roll of Honour with his absolutely amazing drive through the field at the 1995 Belgian race after this heavy practice crash had seen him start way down the grid in 16th place.
This could not be a better start for the Belgian Grand Prix. Everybody round on the first lap without an incident, and Johnny Herbert leads again at the end of the first lap. Obviously having made the fastest lap so far. Then the two Ferraris, and Michael Schumacher carves past Rubens Barrichello. Schumacher is now up from 16th to 12th, and Hakkinen has spun. Lap 3, race order. Alesi leads, Herbert second. There is the battle for third position. Berger and Coulthard, followed by Damon Hill, who is fifth. And Michael Schumacher, already on lap 3, is up into 10th position. He's got past Frenson, Barrichello, Sala, Bouillon, several others. Michael Schumacher really pushing it. And look at Schumacher coming up through the field now, because Michael Schumacher is up into 5th position. He's ahead of his teammate.
Well, I think he had a little bit of a feather, as we call it, and that means just easing off the throttle, and Schumacher gets by perhaps as a result.
Schumacher goes through and takes that 4th position.
When Coulthard went out, it was a thrilling battle between Hill and Schumacher.
Now, this is the chance for Damon Hill. This is where I said, but Schumacher's going to try and cut him off. Hill is alongside him and goes through. No! Schumacher's still marginally ahead.
And again, Hill goes round the outside. Hill's trying the outside. Schumacher is driving very, very precisely, making Damon Hill really work. If you're going to come round by me, you're going to go round the long way, thinks Michael Schumacher. And he's absolutely right, but I'm sure it's only a matter of time before Hill does get by.
Remember Ayrton Senna and Nigel Mansell at Monaco? This is almost a replay of that. Now, is Hill going to get through? Yes! And Michael Schumacher runs wide, loses grip, goes over the cross. And I remember Nigel Mansell doing that at the same point in the Ferrari.
And then Schumacher took advantage of the safety car to change tyres and take a famous victory.
A magnificent 16th career victory for Michael Schumacher, who starts 16th on the grid and superbly wins the Belgian Grand Prix.
Another driver who used a pit stop to score was Olivier Panis at Monaco in '96. He started 14th in the wet, brilliantly switched to slicks and won.
That's a very different... Sand right together, he locks his wheel. Olivier Panis locks his wheel as he tries to go through, and he's pushed Irvine off. There's a collision. Out goes the second Ferrari.
There's smoke out of the back of the Williams. This is going to be the first time that the Williams Hill's failed to finish this year.
Damon Hill out of the Monaco Grand Prix. He was destined not to win this race, and my goodness, the Englishman's heart will be plunging to his boots. Jean Alesi in the Benetton has got a major problem there, and Olivier Panis leads. David Coulthard is up into 2nd place, and Olivier Panis for Ligier Mugen Honda, a wonderful fillip for the French team and their Japanese engine supplier, exits the Rascasse to win the 1996 Monaco Grand Prix. An incredible result.
Now, no driver can win a race, however brilliant his driving, unless his pit lane crew do their job properly. And I've seen some of the best pit work ever. But sometimes things don't go quite to plan.
And it looks to me as though this is Mansell's stop. He's coming into the pit lane now, and he leads. Now, I'm going to be watching very carefully to see if Martini goes by before Mansell comes out, in which case the Italian will be in the lead.
Yes, Thierry Boutsen has put up a new fast start to the race on fresh tyres, and there's confusion now. Mansell's missed his pit. This is a disaster for Nigel Mansell. Critical time, no hurry for the Williams team, just essential to have no errors, nothing stuck on, and just get him turned round. 10 seconds would do nicely. There is not a hurry on this one. And that's absolutely fine. Oh, and he's lost a wheel. Apparently Mansell, so they didn't. And that, I did say 10 seconds would do. If the wheel was not seated properly or something like that, bit of wheel spin, and it's undone itself, and they're going to try and work on the car, but I fear that's going to be all too late, and Nigel Mansell, once again, a shot for the World Championship seems to be slipping away.
Now, sometimes drivers don't even make the grid. Alain Prost and Gerhard Berger slid off on the warm-up lap at Imola in 1991, but unlike Gerhard, Alain stalled, couldn't restart, and was out. And sometimes even entering the pit lane can be difficult.
And into the pit lane. Oh, my goodness! David Coulthard smashes himself out of the Australian. I have never seen that before. He comes into the pit lane and into the wall and blows his chance of winning for Williams.
Let's have another look. He comes up, he's in the pit lane. Let's see if there's any sign of anything breaking. He turns in. It looks, not to me, it looks like simply he tried to turn in too quickly on that tight corner on a dusty track.
Well, here's another view of it, Jonathan. He comes in. I think he's just going far too quick. He's got plenty of lock-on, and the car's just not responding. He's just too quick. He gets on a little bit loose stuff. He's on the brakes now, as you can see, but it's too late and into the wall. Now, I mean, that will be so embarrassing for him.
And there can even be a problem leaving the pit lane.
Here comes Berger, Gerhard Berger in 7th position behind Martin Brundle. I have an uneasy feeling that the producer thought we were watching Schumacher when in fact we were watching Patrese, because the German, Michael Schumacher, is still in the lead and he's now 6 seconds ahead, and that is that is Berger, straight out of the pits on cold tires.
Yeah, a big mistake by Gerhard Berger then. Too much power, cold tyres. Even though these tyres are warmed in their blankets, they are still not at operating temperature. He's coming out of the pit lane hard on the power. That was simply too much power. Lost the back end. Clearly his traction control system not saving him on that occasion, and Berger out of the race.
And Thierry Boutsen joins our Hall of Shame as he gets it all wrong after his tyre stop in Brazil. It's mighty dangerous in the pit lane if you're one of the tyre change crew. And I'll never forget this. Jos Verstappen's terrifying stop at the 1994 German Grand Prix.
Oh, and fuel. That's the first time we've had a fuel splash. Oh, my goodness me.
Well, now, just let's keep calm. There are a lot of fire officials down there, and the fire is already out. And remember, when Gerhard Berger had his car burst into flames in Imola and he was sitting in the car unconscious, the fire marshals still got him out in plenty of time. And Verstappen should not have been in that car for more than a couple of seconds or so. They have medical air piped through to their helmets in case of a problem like this. And you can see the Benetton down there, and I cannot see Verstappen in it, so they've got him out safely.
Amazingly, Jos was perfectly okay. And talking of Jos, he had another lucky escape when he and 3 other drivers walked away from this frightening pile-up at the 1994 Brazilian Grand Prix. Among the other lucky chaps who got away with it was Martin Brundle, whose McLaren, like the other cars, stood up remarkably well. There's no doubt that McLaren had been one of the great constructors of my time. In 1984, a year of overwhelming success for the Woking team, Niki Lauda beat Alain Prost by half a point. It all came down to the final race in Portugal. The tension was well-nigh unbearable.
And this time he's got a good draft, and I think he's inside him, yes, and Alain Prost takes the lead, and I'm sure he's going to pull away now.
As Lauda goes past the Williams, and he is definitely in 4th position. Senna on the right in the Coleman, Lauda on the left, and they're battling for 3rd position. Still Prost first and Lauda Mansell second, and Lauda is going through this time, surely. He's got the line, and yes indeed, as they go into turn 1 at the end of lap 33, Lauda is up into 3rd place, only Mansell between him and his teammate Prost. Niki Lauda on lap 53 out of 70 has moved up into 2nd position, and in doing so has taken the lead in the World Championship. He has to keep running. Alain Prost takes the checkered flag to win in Portugal, but
ironically and very, very sadly from his point of view, provided Niki Lauda appears in the next 15 seconds or so, and there he is. There is the world champion of 1984.
Prost took the championship in 1985 after a terrific season when 4 constructors, McLaren, Ferrari, Williams and Lotus, all produced winning cars. In only the second race of the season, Ayrton Senna took his first Grand Prix victory in Portugal in appalling conditions.
Ayrton Senna has been waving as he went past the pits, as Prost did at Monaco. He's waving at the officials to say stop the race. And this is ironic because Senna complained vociferously, to put it mildly, at Monaco that if the race had been delayed for just 1 lap longer, he would have won. Now Senna, and off goes Prost and regains and spin. Alain Prost spins right off and he's going to be out of the race with a smashed rear wing. Lotus mechanics, and off goes Mansell. Nigel Mansell goes off but rejoins, and Ayrton Senna has already got his shoulder straps undone, and you can see that this usually totally unflappable, imperturbable Brazilian is for once absolutely beside himself. Look at him, both hands waving with joy.
When Senna joined Prost at McLaren in 1988, few of us could have foreseen the quite extraordinary saga that was about to unfold. Senna's uncharacteristic mistake at Monaco that year, when he was pressured by his teammate, may just have been the catalyst for the feuding that was to follow. But to the enthralled viewer, all we could see was a team so dominant that they won 15 out of 16 races. And only this famous incident, as Jean-Louis Schlesser rammed Senna at Monza, deprived the team of a clean sweep. But it did set the scene for an amazingly emotional Ferrari 1-2, out of all places, Monza, just 1 month after the death of the great Enzo Ferrari.
Listen to the crowd. Ferrari wins. Ferrari second. And the first Italian Grand Prix since the death of the great Enzo Ferrari has seen his beloved scarlet cars from Maranello honour his memory with first and second places, and it's a truly happy crowd.
Senna was champion in 1988 despite scoring fewer points than Prost because only the best 11 scores counted. In 1989, their bitter feud climaxed in Japan.
There's 14 running now out of the 26 who started, and if
They meet. This is what we were fearing might happen during the race. And that means to say that Prost has won the World Championship. Alain Prost, World Champion of 1989.
Well, and just look at this, because Ayrton Senna, who can get going again, but he's been pushed, that's outside assistance. And I'm afraid to say that...
In 1990, the feud continued, even though Senna and Prost were now with different teams. When it came to the championship, though, Japan again saw the climax, when, for the second year running, the sparks really flew.
And Senna sprints away, but Alain Prost takes the lead. It's happened. Alain Prost has taken the advantage. Senna is trying to go through on the inside, and it's happened immediately. This is amazing. Senna goes off at the first.
And Senna now with Prost not finishing the race quite clearly. He's out of his car, stuck in the gravel pit. That, I'm afraid to say, is the end of this year's Drivers' World Championship in favour of Ayrton Senna.
Now here's a replay.
Yes, one of the best finish.
The tremendous Senna-Prost rivalry took a break in 1991 when Ayrton achieved his third and last title, whilst Prost was fired by Ferrari and had to sit it out until 1993 before the two could fight for supremacy again. But Ayrton, now driving a McLaren Ford V8 after the withdrawal of Honda, couldn't match Alain, who took his fourth title. Ayrton was a fighter in every sense of the word, and his win in the European Grand Prix at Donington was one of the greatest drives I've ever seen.
He started fourth and dropped to fifth, but almost unbelievably led by...
And Senna into second place already, and he's giving it absolutely everything in the wet part of the race.
So now, as before, the two great rivals, and that's Andretti. He's done it again on the very first lap. Andretti is out, as he was in Brazil, as he almost was in South Africa. 3 Grand Prix, and he has only done 3 full laps. And so out is Wendlinger. So he's passed Alain Prost. So the McLaren leads, Prost second, Hill is third. A tremendous gap between the third and fourth cars.
In Monaco later that year, Ayrton took a record 6th win, whilst in France, Alain found that Senna wasn't the only driver able to run him close, very close.
The leaders now are almost within sight of the checkered flag, and Alain Prost and Damon Hill are going to finish together. They do so. Prost wins in France for the 6th time, and he wins by less than a second.
But for me, even more than his race wins, it'll be his genius during the single qualifying laps that'll stay with me.